say, baby, you wanna get with me? Yeah, I'm talking to you. Well, you think you got what it takes? Well then, come on and sit here and listen first. If you'd like to move and get a little naughty, it only takes two to start a party. All you gotta do is give into your body.
Welcome to Teach, Lead, and Inspire, the Father-Son podcast, where two veterans talk real life and real issues. Well, welcome. I need to share something personal with you. See, things got so bad with my sleep that I actually went out and bought a bed and put it in my office. So we have a 3-bedroom home, but we have a master suite. And we have another room that was like the little dining room that is actually another bedroom that we converted to a weight room. And then I have my office. And so we only have one bedroom. I always tell my kids when they want to come and visit me that the spare bedroom is at the Holiday Inn or the Hampton Inn down the street. Okay, it was kind of joking, but it was just serious. I'm 71 and my wife's older than me, and that's the life that we decided. And my kids are actually set up with their families. They're grown and they're over 1,800 miles away. One's in Oregon, the other one's in Texas, and the other one's in Michigan. And I'm in California. So we're kind of far apart. But I had to put a bed in my office. And not because I wanted the distance away from my wife. That wasn't it. It was because I thought my wife deserved one peaceful night without being afraid of what I might do in my sleep. See, every time I suggested sleeping separately, she refused. She says, not because she wasn't exhausted, because she was. She would halfway fall asleep, always being afraid or on guard about what I might do. And that sometimes that I would be into a dream so bad that I couldn't wake up. You ever had that feeling that you're in a dream or a nightmare and you need to wake up, but you can't? So she's my tapper. She would always tap me like this. You ever heard people tapping? Yeah, I picked it up from one of my conferences about mental health and talking about this tapping, but my wife is my tapper. So she would tap me and that would wake me up. Okay. Or she would grab me and say, wake up, depending on what was going on. So she wasn't, it's not because she wasn't exhausted, because she was. See, at first, when we got together, we were just dating, we lived separately. But since 2022, we started living together. I sold my house and I moved right across the street and we started living together and sleeping together. Okay. But it was because she was afraid of what would happen to me if she wasn't there. She loved me so much that she was sacrificing her sleep. And I understand that because when my wife Joyce, who died, who had cancer in the last 18 months, as I was her caregiver and I was sleeping 3 hours a night, is because I didn't give up on her. It's because I loved her. And I'm fortunate enough to have my wife Carolyn, who loves me and helps me in more ways than one. So the question was, what if the reason she was going through, she says, well, what if I fell out of bed during the nightmare? What if I started yelling again? What if I started fighting in my sleep? What if something happened and she wasn't there to stop it? So I stayed. Now we did go out and buy a We had a queen size bed. I went out and bought a king bed to give more space between us. And that space was not because I didn't want to sleep close to her. That space was what I needed because I was fear of slapping my arm out in my dreams that I couldn't control. But that kind of added even a darker fear, and I wasn't ready to submit as I tried the different things. I started thinking, and the internal thoughts in my head were, what if I'm losing my mind? What if this is early dementia? See, that's my biggest fear of aging. I've always been able to use my mind. That's why I love math and problem solving, always thinking. That's why I love teaching because I could have engage in conversations and then having a student come to me with a problem that they couldn't solve. But the challenge was for me to try to figure out not how to do the problem because I did, but how do I figure out the best way to show them so the light would click on so that they would get it. So, but my biggest fear was aging. I mean, I started going back to teaching at the age of 50. I did 20 years in the Marine Corps and finished that in 1996. But my biggest fear of aging was this thing about dementia, and it terrified me more than the Gulf War. It terrified me more than the cancer that I had that I was able to overcome because I felt like my mind wasn't mine at night. And here's what's happening. Here's what was happening. I had nightmares that hit like explosions. I was yelling in my sleep. I was talking in my sleep. I was cursing in my sleep. I was calling somebody an MF or FU. And by the time I continue going through, I'm going to warn you, I'm going to get more explicit because I need this. Because not only do you need to hear this message, I need to feel this message being released from me. So I would swing my arms. I kicked. I thrashed. I woke up disorientated. I woke up ashamed. And I woke up afraid of what my wife would say I did. And here was the worst part. I was taking 5 milligrams of melatonin every night, and it was making everything 10 times worse. But I didn't know it. See, you're asking, why was I taking melatonin? It's because of what was going on in my sleep. I thought that maybe if I had something that sleep assist, a sleeping pill, that what it would do would just knock me out and all of those things would go away. But really, in reality, it was making it worse, but I didn't know. I had even shared insight about these issues with a therapist, licensed therapist, that had me to do affirmations and journaling and a couple other things. But it never really got to the root of everything. See, the truth is that a high dose melatonin is a nightmare for trauma survivors because it intensifies the rapid eye movement. It deepens emotional dream content. It triggers shouting. It triggers talking. It increases fight or flight activation. And it makes the brain feel unsafe, even in sleep. See, I thought I was helping myself, and I was actually fueling the problem. I tried everything: CBD sprays, gummies, sleep noise, NyQuil, playing music at night, developing a playlist, having a fan on so I can feel the cool air in my face, but also hear the sound. We'll try sleeping in a warm room or a cold room. decreased by alcohol by 98%. See, I really actually probably come from a family, and this was a concern, and I will stop and actually talk about that. Was that my wife's family had a history of alcoholism, and it was not good. And so when we got together, I was a drinker. I drank rum and Coke. Used to drink Jack Daniels and Coke. I never was at the point that I would just fall down dead drunk. That wasn't the case. It was just the fact that I was consuming the alcohol. And when one night after we had gotten together, that uh, I had an episode and I swung my arm like I was fighting and I hit my wife. I didn't do it on purpose. I was fighting, okay? And I was so afraid of that is that I got up and I went to the cabinet in the kitchen and I got every alcoholic bottle I had and I threw it down the drain because I was trying to find solutions. I wanted it to stop because I love this woman so much. This was the woman of my dreams in every way. And I was going to get rid of anything that was going to stand in the way of that relationship. I even did affirmations. I've had the book by Napoleon Hill about affirmations, about changing my thinking. And that was also from my therapist, talked about affirmations. But I didn't realize that I was doing the affirmations in a wrong way. See, the affirmations need to be positive, and these were positive. But what I was doing with my affirmations was if I had a dream that was recurring and I didn't want that dream to reoccur, I would describe and say, this dream about this, this, and this, if it does occur, wake me up. Now, that's what I did. But to turn out, that was not the right thing to do. I even did journaling when I would wake up and or in the middle of the night, or I had an episode. I started waking up to go ahead and write down in the journal exactly what that dream and stuff was about. I even changed our pillows out and I said we changed our bed. I did all that, but nothing worked. And here's what I didn't realize. One of the things was I didn't realize is that I was sleeping on my back 95% of the time. And the reason this became something is because it had been like having episodes like 4 or 5 days in a row. And we were in the family room watching TV, commercial came on, and then my wife said she mentioned something about sleeping on my side as causing problems. And so she said that she had heard something about sleeping on the side. And so when she said that, then I went to do the research. And what it turned out that because we had in our bedroom, not only just pillows, but we had elevated pillows. And one of the reason I had the elevated pillows, because when you sleep elevated, was that it's supposed to stop the snoring. And I had once had problems with snoring, but realizing that was actually connected to my sinus problems and stuff that I had. But we were used to sleeping on our backs and elevated, and she was doing it because she had um, I forget the term, the medical term concerning some type of hernia. Um, and so she needed to sleep elevated. And so I was doing it too because it figured out what was good for her was going to be good for me. Yeah, duh, not necessarily right. But here's the truth, what it turned out. I was sleeping on my back 95% of the time. And for someone with PTSD, which is me, back sleeping can be the worst position. See, when you're on your back, your body feels exposed, vulnerable, unprotected, hyper alert, and ready to fight. Boy, that really explains me. Ready to fight. And I remember so many times that when I shared this back with her, and I said, Can you tell me that all the times when I did wake up and I was actually sitting up, it was when I was having a fight. So back sleeping triggers unconscious survival instincts. And so your nervous system stays in the Marine Corps watch mode. So your brain thinks we're still on guard. In that position alone, sleeping on your back was firing more nightmares, more yelling, more fighting in sleep, more talking, more jerks, more adrenaline spikes. But I didn't know any of this at the time. I only knew I was afraid to go to bed. A grown man, a Marine Corps major, terrified of sleep. See, until one night, desperate for answers, I opened up ChatGPT, not looking for magic, looking for logic, pattern recognition, a system. And the reason I am a pioneer and innovator concerning with technology is that when I was at the Naval Academy in 1972, they made it a requirement to do 2 years of computer science where I had to do basic programming. That placed me ahead of my peers out in the field because I was already techie savvy, ready and prepared. And I used technology all of my life. And it's no wonder that in 2023, out of all the things, I had the brain idea, the bright idea to bring AP Computer Science principles and AP Computer Science A to a continuation school. For that, Amazon Future Engineer named me a Teacher of the Year in 2023, and in 2024 named me a Teacher Ambassador. Okay. So when I went to ChatGPT, I have been using ChatGPT since 2023. Okay. So when I went there, I wasn't looking for magic, I was looking for logic, but because I use it quite a bit, it understands me because I've been using it to find. I uploaded information about me, medical history information, so that I can analyze and look for the patterns. Like a mathematician, I was thinking, I was looking for logic, I was looking for pattern recognition, I was looking for a system. So I refined my questions. I described my symptoms. I tracked the patterns. I tested suggestions. I adjusted. I refined again. And finally, a breakthrough. A simple science-based PTSD specific protocol emerged. See, after reviewing everything, the yelling, talking, kicking, jerking, nightmares, adrenaline bursts, waking confused, the back sleeping habit, and the melatonin overdose, I discovered that my symptoms was caused by PTSD hyperarousal, nervous system stuck in combat mode, magnesium deficiency, REM overactivation, trauma memory wiring, fragmented sleeping cycles, sleeping on my back, and the 5 melatonin making everything worse. This wasn't dementia. This wasn't aging. But most important, this wasn't permanent. This was nervous system dysregulation. And the solution wasn't medication, it was a system, a protocol, a PTSD informed sleep framework that teachers and nurses understand deeply because we are system thinkers. And I have to throw veterans in there, of course. But for teachers and nurses, we clearly understand this because we think of systems. Now, here's what changed everything. First, L-theanine. This is the PTSD sleep game changer. This switches off the always on guard response. See, the L-theanine increases alpha waves, the same brain waves as deep meditation. It signals the amygdala, stand down, you're safe. This single shift, reducing shouting, reduced talking, reducing nightmares, reduced night fight responses. It lowered the adrenaline. It smoothed emotional reactivity. It improved breathing and stabilized transitions between the cycles. The sleep cycles, where you just sleep and then you got a REM, and you're sleeping and then you got a REM. There are no side effects, no dependency, and no sedation. It addresses the root cause, the trauma, overactive nervous system. Now, magnesium glycinate. This is the body and the nervous system calmer. This stops the kicking, the jerking, the thrashing, and the tension. So magnesium glycinate, it blocks the stress hormones. It relaxes muscles. It prevents nighttime burst. It supports the deep non-REM restorative sleep. It absorbs quickly and is safe with losartan. Now, again, I'm using ChatGPT that helped me. Why is that important? Because I have high blood pressure medicine I'm taking, which is losartan. I want to make sure that anything I'm doing is not going to be triggering and making things worse with a prescription medication. So the PTSD drains magnesium aggressively, okay? Because my brain has been affected. But the glycinate restores what trauma steals. The moment I added it, my movements dropped dramatically. Now, mellow out. It's a combination of B6 plus 250 grams of magnesium. This is the sleep coordination formula. Now, this you could only buy from my wellness company. You can't get it at Amazon or anything else. And it doesn't work by just taking B6 plus the magnesium together because it has a specific patent formula that allows it to be absorbed in order to get the maximum. And this is why it's very important. See, because with my PTSD, see, this regulates my sleep cycles without nightmare triggering melatonin overload. See, the body naturally produces melatonin. And when I was doing the 5 on top, I was overloading my system. But what I really want is to calm down my system such that my body produces the melatonin to go ahead naturally to have me go to sleep. Because I'm extremely sensitive to melatonin, and most trauma survivors are. And mellow out was the perfect replacement because it smooths my dream intensity. It reduces REM chaos. When my rapid eye movement is going like this, it just calms it down. It reduces the emotional dream content. It supports serotonin and calm. And that's the B6. The magnesium enhances my nervous system calm. It anchors my sleep cycles and it prevents micro awakenings. Together, they reduce adrenaline, it smooths my REM, it reduced dream spillover, it stabilized transitions, it quieted the stress circuits, but most importantly, it put my brain into a safe mode. This is why my sleep talking vanished almost instantly. Now, the weighted blanket, I'm going to call this the body armor for the nervous system. This was the missing piece. See, a weighted blanket, it lowers adrenaline, it activates the deep pressure receptors in our body. It signals that you are safe to the trauma brain. It reduces jerks and thrashing. You can't kick it out. Normally, you want to do 10% of your body weight. My blanket is like 20 pounds, but it helps prevents the shouting, prevents the talking. It anchors the nervous system. And I was sleeping without one for years. When I added the 18 to 20 pound weighted blanket matched to my weight, it shut down the last remaining symptoms of bad sleep. My body finally felt protected, not exposed. Now, side sleeping, the safety position. I've already mentioned that when you sleep, sleeping on your back for someone who has PTSD is the worst thing you can do. But side sleeping, it protects the chest. It reduces vulnerability. It lowers the adrenaline. It reduces nightmares. It prevents loud vocalizations because I'm on my side. It keeps the nervous system calm. Because back sleeping is the worst for PTSD, but side sleeping is the best. So once I shifted off my back, the fear and the explosion stopped. And the results were immediate. The first night was calm. Second night, deeper sleep. The third night, my wife slept peacefully. The fourth night, no shouting, no talking, no jerking. In the night I added the weighted blanket, I stopped talking in my sleep completely. After years. This wasn't a miracle, it was physiology. It was trauma-informed sleep science. It was a system. See, just like teachers and nurses need a system for debt. Now, teachers and nurses are living the same nightmare, but with debt. See, the Department of Education downgraded teaching and nursing, no longer professional degrees, yet the debt remains the same. Public service loan forgiveness were denied 97% for years, and people are drowning in 25 to 30-year repayment plans. And just like I was drowning in nighttime chaos, I made one Instagram post about student debt, and it went viral for 8 weeks straight. Teachers said I was denied too. Nurses said I've been paying 15 years and owe more. Veterans said I'm drowning. My wife looked at me and said, "You will never pay off your student loans." Not doubting me, but maybe challenging me. And that's when I realized. See, current legislation or current thought of information that's been told to me about my student loan debt is that when I die, the debt dies with me. Now, I'm in retirement. I am paying over $12,000 a year and have been. I've already paid in excess of $100,000 already on student loans and still have student loan debt. But I had to realize, that just like I engineered a system to fix my sleep, I can engineer a system to help teachers and nurses eliminate all their debt, all their student loans, their credit cards, their personal loans, everything in 3 to 5 years and not 25 to 30. Because systems save sleep, systems save teachers, systems save nurses, systems save lives. So if this system restored peace to the most chaotic part of my life, imagine what the right system can restore in yours. So I invite you to register for my free 90-minute masterclass at reset.teachleadandexpire.com. And your reset begins the moment you decide that you've done being trapped in a system that was never designed for you. This concludes this episode. Hopefully you found the information in here valuable. And if you happen to be a teacher or a nurse or a veteran or someone else that is struggling with student debt, just like I designed the system to help sleep better, I've actually designed the right system that can help restore yourself and become debt-free. See, I've taken the challenge. My wife said, "You'll never pay that thing off." I don't trust politicians making rules and laws that don't affect them, but affect me and every other working veteran, teacher, and nurse. Because on any given day, they can go in and change that. And the last thing that I want is for my student loan debt to be passed on to my wife. That's not fair. But the system's never fair. So I'm not waiting for the bus to hit me in my face. I have student loan debt and I'm getting rid of it. And I've designed a system in order to fix that. that can pay it off in 3 to 5 years. I know that for a fact. I've already done my research and I've already spent thousands of dollars before I got here. So if you'd like to join my team, most importantly, if you found this valuable, go ahead and go to reset.teachleadandexpire.com and go ahead and sign up and register for my free 90-minute masterclass. This is Dr. Jordan Smith, and I see you next episode. In the next episode, I'm going to talk and address the question is, should a man actually be taking care of his skin? Okay. Should we be taking care of our skin? So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Really, the question is, look at this. Look at my face. Do I look 72 years old? Good question. I'm going to leave it just like this. This is Dr. Smith. Have a great day. You have been listening to Teach, Lead, and Expire. For more information concerning the 90-minute free masterclass, please go to jordanbsmithjr.biz. That's jordanbsmithjr.biz. You can also find the link inside the description of this podcast or on the description of the YouTube video. Again, this is Dr. Smith. Happy holidays.
And how could you hold me and say that you know me when you don't feel my fire burning for you only? And what if I helped you more than I did before, longer than anyone should hold you for? What if you and me for just a moment? What if you could see the things I see? Maybe you would feel the way my heart beats just for you forever. What if you and me inside my own skin? What if you can be my eyes and heart? Then you see and feel the world I live in whenever we're together. I wish I could break through, if only to make you understand all the ways my heart just wants to wake you. How could you touch me and not feel my heart sing? Maybe I touched your heart to get that fire and flaming. What if I kissed you more than we kissed before? Deeper than anyone should kiss for sure. What if you and me for just a moment? What if you could see the things I see? Maybe you could feel the way my heart beats just for you forever. What if you and me inside my own skin? What if you could be my eyes and heart? Then you see and feel the world I live in whenever we're together. What if I were you now, wanting more of me? Wish I could get through now, just so I could make you see. What if you and me for just a moment? What if you could see the things I see? Baby, you would feel the way my heart beats just for you forever. What if you and me inside my own skin? What if you can be my eyes and heart? Then you see and feel the world I live in whenever we're together.